Hey guys, so I know it's been a while, obviously because of the pandemic, all the movie theaters were closed, so I wasn't really able to get any new episodes of Red Phoenix cast out. So for this episode, it's gonna be just me. My sister is not with me, in my dorm, because she had to stay home for the semester, so it's just gonna be me. And I'm going to talk about the Mulan remake. It sucks. I don't think that's gonna surprise a whole lot of people. My opinion on this remake is pretty much the same as my opinion on all the other remakes. They're unnecessary, they're just cheap cash grabs, and they're honestly just a disservice to the original. The originals are fine as they are. I don't think they need to be updated or remade or whatever. And yeah, so I'm gonna go into like specifics of like just particularly like what made this movie so inferior to the original animated movie. And for starters, I know that like some people have been campaigning against like watching this movie on Disney Plus, because I know you have to pay like $30 on top of the subscription you're already paying to have Disney Plus, which is really dumb. And so some people are saying like even like regardless of like the quality of the movie, they're saying like don't watch this until it comes out just for like regular viewing, which is totally valid in my opinion. I think it's really dumb that they're like charging extra to watch it, and it's especially $30. That's kind of a lot, and it's not worth it. This movie doesn't warrant paying $30 at all. And like honestly, like even when this does come out in regular viewing, I'm so like just don't watch, just watch the original. Like, okay, so we all know like the story of the original. Mulan, her father, gets drafted to war, but he's old and she knows that if he goes that he's gonna die, so she disguises herself a man, takes his place, and saves China and all that. So in the original, Mulan is like, she's portrayed as like clumsy, like she's kind of like uncoordinated, and it kind of like, it gives her personality and it makes her charming. Here in this movie, she's just completely perfect from the start. Like, she has like, I guess she's like strong with chi or the force or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And, like, yeah, she's just completely perfect. Like, right at the beginning, there's a scene where, like, you see, like, young Mulan, and she's already, like, doing flips and, like, catching things falling and all this shit. I'm like, this totally, like, takes away all of the, like, character progression, because, like, in the original, like, we had to watch her train, we had to watch her learn how to fight, because she didn't know, and that was part of the whole, like, emotional baggage that she was carrying, was that she was going out to fight even though like she knew nothing about fighting. She'd never done anything like that before, and so we had to watch her train and grow. And so like when you finally do see her, you know, succeeding, like the scene where she climbs the pole to get the arrow and she starts doing better in training, like you feel something, like you care about this character, like you feel good when she overcomes that struggle and starts to succeed. Here, she's already perfect from the beginning, so, like, there's no arc. Like, why should we care? Like, you never feel like she's ever in any danger, because, like, you know that whatever happens, she's gonna make it out, because, like, she's already perfect. She knows how to do everything already. And it's so dumb, and it's part of this stupid trend that Disney is doing, where, like, all of the female characters, like, all the female leads have to be completely perfect from the beginning. Like, I don't know, like, I guess they're trying to, like, push some kind of, like, agenda for little girls or whatever. Like, we want these characters to be role models or whatever. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes them good role models, I guess, but doesn't make them interesting characters. Like, nobody wants to see a character that just does everything perfectly from the beginning and never goes through any arcs, because it's not interesting. Like, nobody cares about that. And, like, yeah, I feel like they've just been pushing this agenda a lot, especially with, like, the live-action remakes, you know, like, seeing, like, Belle and Cinderella and, you know, Rey from Star Wars and all that. You know, people call them, like, Mary Sues or whatever. The characters just have, like, no flaws and they're completely perfect. Like, I'm so sick of that trend. Like, I really wish that they, like, it's okay to give a character flaws. It doesn't make them bad role models. It makes them interesting because we want to see them progress as the character. So that's one of my main issues with this movie. So they get rid of a lot of the stuff that people liked from the original. Like, there's no songs at all. Like, Reflection, I'll Make a Minute, all that's gone. I mean, sometimes they'll, like, play bits of it, those songs in, like, the score, but, like, all it does is just to remind you of, like, hey, like, remember that other movie you probably wish you were watching instead of this right now? Yeah, so that's gone. There's no Mushu, no Cricket, the dog that, like, was in, like, a couple scenes isn't in this at all. And they replaced the grandmother with a sister character who is completely pointless. You could write her out and, like, literally nothing would change. And, like, the scene where, like, Mulan messes up with the matchmaker, like, even that, like, isn't her fault. Like, it's really the sister's fault, but then, like, oh, she uses her magical chi to catch all the teacups that are falling, and she's completely perfect, but no, she's a woman, so they don't like that, and then, it's so dumb, like, again, like, in the original, like, she was clumsy, so that's why she messed up, but here, like, no, like, nothing can ever be her fault, it has to be the sister's fault, instead, and, like, it's just, I'm so sick of that shit, and so then her father gets drafted, like, immediately after the matchmaker scene, so, like, we don't get the talk with her father where, like, he says, like, oh, like, you know, he points out that the cherry blossom, like, oh, like, you're a late bloomer, but, you know, it'll be okay, because you'll find yourself eventually. We don't get that talk at all, that's completely gone, and so then we get the scene where her father's drafted, and then she decides to take his place and all that, and, you know, like, the talk where, like, her father's like, I know my place, you should know yours, like, we never get any build up to that, so, like, the scene where he just, like, snaps at her, like, basically just comes out of nowhere. Like, it kind of just makes the dad look like a dick, to be honest. I'm like, where did this come from? Like, what the hell? And so then she goes off to fight, and, like, the scene where Mulan cuts her hair and, like, gets ready for a battle, like, that is one of the most memorable, most poignant scenes from the original, completely gone in this movie. Like, we just see her, like, waving around the sword a little bit, and then they just immediately cut to her, like, completely clothed in full armor. Like, you don't get the scene from the original where, like, you know, she, like, looks back at her house, looks back at her parents, you know, and all that. And, like, the scene where she cuts her hair is such an important scene, because, like, it's basically, like, that is, like, kind of, like, the point of no return for her. That's kind of, like, where she's like, okay, like, I'm really gonna do this, like, there's no turning back now, like, I have to go forward with this now. And I don't even think she does cut her hair in this version, like, because there's a scene later where she, like, takes her hair down, and it still looks pretty lengthy, like, I don't think she even cuts it at all. And so, like, all of the build-up, all of the character development is just totally gone. Like, I don't know if they're just, like, assuming that the people who are going in to watch this have already, like, seen the original, so they're just expecting us to, like, fill in those gaps, but, like, that's not a good strategy. Like, people should not have to rely on seeing another movie to make this movie good. Like, this should be able to stand on its own, and it doesn't. So she goes up to fight, and, like, I mean, some of the actors, I don't want to try naming some of the actors because I feel like I'm gonna horribly botch out the pronunciations, but, like, the guys in the guys, like, the friends that she makes in the camp, like, those actors are pretty good. Like, the lead actress who plays Mulan is so bland. Like, she never reacts to anything. She never looks scared or happy or sad or whatever. Like, she's completely monotone the whole time. Like, we never, like, it's, like, obviously, like, she doesn't care, so, like, why should we care? Like, I never get any, like, reaction or any emotion from her, so, like, I never care about what's going on. I never feel scared for her. Like, I never feel like she might not make it out, because, like, we all know she's gonna make it out anyway, so, like, what's the point? And so, like, they, instead of, like, instead of the Huns, there's, like, this, I don't know, I don't even remember what they're called, like, some kind of army. And then because they cut out all of the animal characters, there's, like, this witch person who also has chi, and she can, like, make herself into, like, flocks of birds or some shit. And, like, but, like, oh, of course, even she's not really a villain, because, like, oh, like, she's just doing this because, like, she won't be accepted anywhere or whatever, because she has chi or something. And, like, and of course she ends up being a good guy in the end. I don't even give a fuck about spoilers at this point. Like, you guys already, you already know, like, how this is gonna go. Like, it's so predictable anyways. And, like, the characters are so bland. And, like, the scene where she eventually does, like, reveal herself, like, she, like, fights the witch person as a man, and then the witch, like, knows who she is, so she's like, oh, like, your chi will never be strong if you're pretending to be somebody you're not. And she, like, reveals herself, and then gets exiled, but then immediately comes back afterwards, so, like, that whole thing is pointless. And, like, it almost seems like the message that they're trying to say with this one is that, like, she shouldn't have disguised herself in the first place. So, like, they're constantly, like, saying, like, hammering, there's, like, some, like, narration, which is totally, like, cheap, and, like, it's just, like, a cheap way for them to, like, get the exposition out. It's, like, totally, it's just, like, so, it's so lazy. It's, like, the writing, it's just such lazy writing. And, like, there's, like, the narration that's, like, oh, like, a lie can only last for so long when you're hiding who you are, or, like, whatever, and, like, they're kind of, like, making, it seemed to me like they were saying that, like, she never should have disguised herself in the first place, and I'm like, what choice did she have? Like, she had to, like, they wouldn't have let her fight if they just, like, they knew she was a woman the whole time. Like, do they not even understand, like, the plot of the original? Like, it's so dumb. And, like, as far as, like, the action scenes themselves, like, I mean, some of it is shot pretty cool, I guess, but, like, the editing is so weird, and, like, they'll slow-mo in random places, and then, like, like, they have, like, these, like, weird cuts that come out of nowhere, and, I don't know, like, I'm sure that they had, like, good footage as far as, like, the fighting, but, like, the editing just completely ruins it. The CG also looks terrible, all looks completely fake, and, yeah, there's just no, like, it doesn't feel like there's any passion to this at all, and I know, like, I've heard that, I haven't seen anything that the director made, but I've heard that she's made pretty good films in the past, so if I had to guess, I'd probably say that Disney came in and, like, oh, like, you need to do this, you need to do that, and we need to have all these, you need to check all these boxes, and we need to have, like, you know, a strong female lead or whatever, we need to have all this stuff, and, I'm willing to bet that Disney just came in and ruined. I'm sure that there was a good project, at least a decent project in her somewhere, and then Disney just came in and ruined it. It makes me so mad. Like Disney, they don't even understand what made their own movies good anymore, and, like, that's so, it's just so depressing. Yeah, and so, I mean, we all kind of know, like, the story, like, she ends up saving China, and blah, 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 and, it's so underwhelming, and, like, it doesn't, like, this movie did not need to be made. None of these remakes needed to be made. Like, it's so blatantly obvious that the only reason that Disney is making these is just to cash in on, like, nostalgia, so people can just be like, oh, I remember that movie, let's go see this one, because in my childhood, or whatever. And, like, like, don't pay the 30. Is this worth $30? Absolutely not. Don't give them your money for this shit. I mean, I'm hoping that maybe people start, like, not buying tickets for these, or not buying the $30 to see this, and then they'll get the message that this is not what we wanted, because these remakes really are, like, the terrible, like, direct-to-DVD sequels that they're making in the 2000s, like, these are basically the equivalents of that, and it's even worse, actually, because they're being released in theaters and still making a ton of money despite being terrible. I honestly have no idea why this has such a high, like, Rotten Tomatoes score. Like, last time I checked, it was, like, 79 or 80%. Like, this movie's so boring. Like, I like, the whole time I just wanted it to be over. Like I said, like, there's no emotion, there's no passion, like, there's hardly any jokes at all. Like, it's kind of, like, bleak. Like, it's not fun to watch. Like, I can't imagine anybody actually, like, sitting down and enjoying this. So, like, I mean, if you did, I'm honestly curious, because, like, I don't see fans in the original liking this. I certainly don't see kids enjoying this. It's rated PG-13, which, honestly, that rating isn't warranted. Like, yeah, there's some action, but, like, the original had that too, and it was rated G. And, like, it's not like there's maybe, like, a little bit of blood, but, like, not really. So yeah, the total, like, PG-13 rating, totally not warranted at all. Like, I can't imagine any particular audience actually enjoying this. So, like, and I mean, like, they said that, like, they cut out a lot of the, you know, stuff in the original, like, the songs and the animal characters, because they wanted to be more, like, respectful, but, like, this doesn't really, like, tap into, like, Chinese culture that much. I mean, yeah, they talk about Qi, but, like, that's been done much better in other movies and TV shows anyways. And plus, like, the original was still, like, respectful of Chinese culture. Like they added, you know, they kind of, like, talked about, like, the philosophy of battle, and I mean, Mushu, like, was a dragon. That's part of Chinese culture too. So, like, I mean, I know he wasn't voiced by an Asian American actor, but I mean, still. And so, I mean, like, you still could have put in the stuff, because, like, that's the stuff people remember. That's the stuff they like from the original. That's, like, what, like, all the merchandise, like, that has, like, all the quotes from Mushu, and, like, the songs are super memorable, and, like, once you, like, take all that away, like, what's even the point anymore? Like, that was literally what I said when I found out that they weren't gonna include any of the songs in the Mushu. I was like, what's the point then? Like, that's all the stuff people really liked. So yeah, like, there's just no, like, there's no merit in watching this. Like, I didn't gain anything from watching this. Like, I actually just went and watched the original, like, the night after I watched this, and, like, it was so much better. Like, Mulan had so much personality. The characters had so much personality. Like, I forgot the name of the general, the dude that she, like, falls in love with. Like, they have, like, an equivalence of that in the remake. Though he's not, like, the general. He's just, like, another soldier. But, like, they don't even really have any chemistry. Like, they don't really, like, I mean, I guess they're trying to imply that they got together, but, like, that's not really made clear, to be honest. And again, part of that is because the lead actress is just so bland. Like, she has no reaction to anything. And I know that people were, some people were actually gonna boycott this movie because of her. Because he has to, like, she was, like, against, like, the Hong Kong protests. So, like, yeah, she's against democracy, and she's also a terrible actress, too. So, you got that as well. So, yeah, like, I'm so sick of these goddamn live-action remakes. Then they're gonna remake Little Mermaid next, and that's gonna be terrible too, and I'm gonna be super pissed because Little Mermaid is my favorite Disney movie. And, like, I'm not even gonna get into, like, the controversy of, like they cast, like, a black girl as Little Mermaid. Like, I don't care what the casting is, like, it's just, like, I already know, like, the writing's gonna be bad, the CG's probably gonna be terrible anyways. Like, I mean, like, if she can play the part, great. I mean, I know, like, she's a, Halle Halle Bailey, I think is her name. Yeah, like she's a really good singer, and I'm sure like she can probably act well too. So I mean, she can play the part great, but like it's just like the writing's still gonna be bad. Like I know the CG's gonna be terrible, so like it's gonna be unsalvageable anyway. So like, what's even the point? Yeah, so just don't bother with this. Like, please. The only reason I spent the $30 was just for the point of like getting this review out, but like I honestly want the fucking money back, to be honest. Yeah. So, I guess as far as like a rating, I'd give this like a D. I mean, some of the shots are nice, but like that doesn't really matter when you get to like the heart of like what's really important, which is the story and like the characters, and like none of that is there. It's not solid at all. So like it's not worth it. So yeah, I guess that's I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm just gonna get angry if I try to talk about this anymore. So yeah, so the theater near my campus is still closed, and it does not have a scheduled reopening date. So I do not know when I'm gonna be able to go back to theaters and start seeing stuff anytime soon. I know Tenet came out, and I really want to see that, but it's not looking like that's gonna be possible right now. So it may be a while before I get any more reviews out to you guys, and I do apologize for that. I hope y'all are staying safe. And guess whenever I get the chance to go to the theater again, I'll see you guys again. So yeah, bye.